Good morning, beloved ones.
Good morning.
Turn to someone and tell them, I see your light. I see your light. I see your light. I want to begin by giving thanks to those who supported and worked with our World Day of Prayer weekend. If you were a participant, an organizer, please stand for our World Day of Prayer so we can just acknowledge you and give thanks to you. If you attended for our prayer team, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's a very powerful experience. And I came on the evening, we did it very creatively this year. Through the power of the spoken word and through music, because it's all vibration, whether it's word or music, it's vibration. And so we entered into that experience with a creative expression of energy, a creative expression of the vibration of God through the word, through songs, and it was a beautiful experience. I love the title of this year's World Day of Prayer theme. And the title was Infinite Presence, Unlimited Potential. Infinite Presence, Unlimited Potential. And I added infinite potential because it's unlimited and it's infinite. And I think there's something very powerful about that combination. Infinite presence and unlimited potential or infinite potential. Those two things combined make a very mighty force, right? There's something powerful about it. Now, it all starts, of course, with the creator of all that is, infinite presence, the creator of all that is. My minister, Eric Butterworth, used to call it the allness of the isness. You can call it God, source of all being, the all that is, divine mind, right? Infinite presence. And we in Unity, we like to call it the one presence and the one power, right? We always say there's only one presence and one power where? In the universe. God, the what? The good. So you can call it by whatever name you want to call it, it matters not. But what I like about infinite presence and an unlimited potential or infinite potential is that it accurately denotes the presence and the power of God, and also it includes infinite possibilities, unlimited potential. Because as the scripture reminds us, with God, everything is possible, right? Everything is possible with what? With God. So this infinite presence, within this infinite presence, is contained infinite possibilities, infinite potential, in which everything in God is possible. Infinite presence says and reminds us that God is everywhere present in everything. Everywhere present in everything. But if the truth is told, how often do we really remember that? Or do we acknowledge that God is present in this situation? Or that good, because we say good with the capital G, is synonymous with God. God, the absolute good. But how often do we acknowledge or even call upon this infinite presence that is present in all things? When you're driving or you're in the midst of a traffic jam, do you think of infinite presence? Or maybe you're in a tough meeting at work or some kind of heated discussion. Do you think of infinite presence? Or maybe if you're with the one whom you love. Are you thinking of infinite presence? Probably not. Probably not. But you see, friends, infinite presence is here all the time. It is here right now. The infinite presence that is this thing we call the allness of the isness, God, divine mind, substance, love, whatever you want to call it. It is present here and now. And within this presence is also infinite potential, unlimited potential. And that too is here when? Right now. It is here and right. Limitless potential, unlimited good is here right now. However, the manifestation of that potential, the manifestation, the expression, which is the pressing out of, that's what expression means, the pressing out of. But the pressing out of, or the expression of this potential into form or manifestation or reality is up to us. Because it's all here right now. But the manifestation, the pressing out of that limitless, infinite potential is up to us. It is we who bring the formless into form. It is we who act as the agents and the co-creators of what we desire and see for our world. It is we who bring the invisible into visibility. It is we who bring the potential into experience and expression and manifestation. God has already done what God is going to do. Everything that you need is already created and manifested. It has already been given. It is already provided. But we have a part in bringing it forth into this realm of manifestation. I like to think that this is our magnificent role as co-creators. And when I say co-creators, I'm using a small c because it's already been created. But the creation I'm talking about is manifestation into form, into my life, into reality, something that I can touch, something that I can utilize. That part as a co-creator is my role. It is my role as a divine participant in this creation. And how I get there I have a number of ways. One of the ways I can get there is through faith, exercising and pressing out my faith qualities. Now, we all know the biblical definition of faith, which says faith is the substance of stuff hoped for, and it's the evidence of things what? Not seen. Okay, so we get that part. Comes from Hebrews 11, more familiar. But I want to give you the metaphysical definition of faith. We say that faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. It is the perceiving power of the mind, which means you have the capability to perceive, to preceive, to image, to hold an image, to hold a thought in mind with quality of seeing, to perceive it, and it is linked with the ability to shape substance. Substance is here, but we are the ones who shape it and form it. And we shape it and form it by our vision, by our dreams, by our affirmations, by what we see, by what we desire, by what we're holding in our consciousness, what we want. And so we shape it. And in metaphysical, it could be your imagination, the ability to shape substance, to see, to perceive. So when we are manifesting out of this realm of infinite potential, which is right here, right now, we use our faith, the perceiving power to see and to draw and to shape the substance, the invisible stuff, to shape it by our what? Our imagination, by our faith, by our ability to see it in mind, see it in consciousness and hold it until we allow it to come forth. This is our role as a divine participator in the creation of life. I came across this wonderful quote, and it's from a Sufi master, Vilayat Khan, and he said this. He said, "Participators in the evolution of the universe. It is a phrase that resonates with possibility and potential. For this means to realize that the future is not just waiting to happen. Instead, it is taking shape right here and now in the attitudes we hold, in the choices we make, and the values we cherish. It means to become fully aware of the fact that humanity holds in its hands an extraordinary, precious opportunity to shape the future tomorrows of this planet." That's a powerful thing. That's really deep. What he's saying is the future is just not waiting to happen. Sometimes we think, well, that'll happen in the future. The future is not waiting to happen. It happens when we shape it. It happens when we shape it. The universe and the future is waiting for us to happen. We're the happening, right? We're the happening. We are the shape shifters. We are the ones that are going to fashion this future that we desire. It isn't something that's already predestined and pre-planned, and therefore we're just going to fall into it. Because sometimes that's how we approach life. We just fall into it, right? No. We shape it. We fashion it. This is a powerful thought for us. So the future is waiting to happen as we move in to shape it. And to shape and to create what is to come. We are creating what is to come. Don't wait for somebody else to create your future. Don't think that somebody else has it already laid out and planned, so therefore why should I do anything about it because it's already done? No. You are the creator of what is to come. And what is more about this whole concept is that there are no limitations in this process of creating what is to come. There are no limitations, because if you think about it, in infinite potential, can there be any limitations? If there can, then it isn't what? It isn't infinite. If there's limitations and it's finite, it has boundaries in a box. You can only do this. You can only have this. But if it's infinite potential, there are no limitations in this infinite. And so what I'm thinking is that the only limitation is an illusion. It is an illusion that lies within our failure to access or to tap into the limitless field of beingness, the limitless field of infinite potential. Any limitation you have is a failure on our part to tap into the limitless field of infinite potential. So the idea of limitation is a false one. But it's one that we've been fed, have we not? Only so high you can go, so much you can do, so much you can have. This whole concept of limitations has been fed into our consciousness, so we believe it. And yes, there are things that we have yet to uncover. I will grant that. But that's not the same thing as saying that these things have an inability to be or an inability to exist. It's simply we have yet to what? Uncover it, or to discover it, which is to take off the cover, take off that which is shielding it and hiding it. See, so yes, there are things, but that's simply a process. We've yet to uncover it. So this whole thing to think about a limitation, that's an error in consciousness. When you have a limiting thought, you are expressing an error in consciousness. A thought of limitation is an error in your belief system. A thought of limitation is an error of your faith ability to perceive and to see. It's not necessarily a real thing. It's an error in consciousness. Evolution. which is what we are engaged in constantly. But evolution is about reaching into this limitless field of potentiality and pulling something out. That's what evolution is. Reaching in to an infinite field of potential and possibility and pulling something out. And we do the pulling, right? We get to do the shaping. We get to do the evolving and the pulling out of everything that is there. Everything is already there. So what do you need and what do you want and what do you envision for yourself? Are you imposing limitations upon yourself? Because we do that all the time. We pose limitations. I just did it this morning. You know how Facebook has those birthday fundraising opportunities that you can create? So while I was working on my talk, I was also on Facebook looking at this. And so it said, oh, you have a birthday coming up. You can create a fundraiser. Pick a fundraiser that you want. And, so you start the process, which I wasn't able to finish because it was a long process. But I said, okay. And it showed me things that I like. And the first one was Stand Up for Humanity. So I said, I'm going to pick that. I want people to give a gift to Stand Up for Humanity for my birthday. And then you get all this stuff set up and you start to invite. I had to stop because I want to invite everybody to it. And so it was too long for me to go through my 700 friends. So I said, I got to do my talk. So I held off on that. Hopefully I'll be able to get back to it. But what was so interesting was when it came to the amount, I sat there and I said, Now they had a suggested number of $200. And now you could change it. So I hit the field to change it. And the first thought that came into my head was, I'm going to put $10,000. The second thought that came into my head was, that might be too much. Then the third thought was, maybe I should just do 5,000. Then maybe I should do 3,000. Oh my goodness, I don't want to do 500. 1,000, no. And I watched myself self-impose limitations. I thought, oh yes, if you put 10,000 and you don't reach it, you only have a certain amount. I think I have until September 29th or whatever. After that, they do whatever. But I watched the self-imposed limitations that ran through my mind. And so finally, because being a good Libran that I am, I thought I would settle to be in the middle, and I picked 5,000. But I wanted to pick what? 10,000. So I have to look, what is that? What is that in me that said, 10,000 is what? Too much. When I'm talking about this morning about the infinite potential of the infinite presence and power of God, I still went to a self-imposed limitation. See, we do this all the time, and when we don't watch what's going through the mind, our conditioning of what society says is too much, and do this, and not show up like that, don't wear this. Oh, it's white, it's after Labor Day. Don't put on white. And so I said, I'm putting it on because it's what fits right now. And who cares? So, I have to check. Constantly, we must check what is going on in our consciousness. What are the levels of your self-imposed limitation? Because that's an error in consciousness. It's an error in your perceptions. It's an error in your belief system of what you think you are worthy of what you think God is capable of, or how you participate in this process. And so we have to be on it, because if we're really honest with ourselves, we know that limiting thoughts just keep us stuck in this field of what I call measured and known experiences. We get stuck in it's measured because it's a field that I'm familiar with, I know it, and it's a known experience. So we get stuck in, well, this is what I know, this is what I did, this is what happened, and this is where I think I should be, as opposed to this is the unknown. I haven't been here. I have no idea. I'm going to move out of the box. I'm going to move out of the boundaries. I'm going to move out of this limited thinking into something else. I'm going to shape what I desire, because my life is waiting for me to shape it. It's waiting for me to shape it. This is what Cherie Carter said. She said, extraordinary people visualize not what is possible or probable, but rather what is impossible. By dreaming the impossible, they begin to see it as possible. You get that? I want to read it again. Extraordinary people visualize not what is possible or probable, because sometimes we think, oh, see what's possible and hold that. She's saying something different. Extraordinary people visualize not what is possible or probable, but rather what is impossible. And by dreaming the impossible, they begin to see it as possible. And why is that? Because they're peering into the realm of infinite and unlimited potential. When you start holding on to what is impossible, you are peering into, seeing into the field of infinite potential, right? Things that are not yet manifested or formed, but are infinite. Possibilities exist. And when you begin to tap into that, and when you begin to do that, if you begin to actually think everything is possible, if that becomes your foundation, your grounding thought, everything is possible. Let me hear you from everything is possible. Everything is possible. When you begin to think like that everything is possible, what happens then, the thought of impossibility disappears. And along with that thought of impossibility disappearing, the doubts, the fears, or the what if, they go too. They're gone. And all of a sudden, possibilities begin to show themselves. What you hold on to as impossible begins to show the possibility within the impossible. You get what I'm saying? It's very powerful. It's a little reversal of what we've been taught to think. Focus on the possible. Hold the vision. Oh, focus on the impossible. Hold that, and the possible then pops out. You begin to see, all of a sudden they begin to show themselves up. I am possible. This is possible. This is impossible. It doesn't matter. I begin to hold what's impossible into my mind, and possibilities begin to manifest. So think constantly, everything is possible. Everything is possible. And as you begin to think that, I want you to also begin to think, and there are no limits. There are no limits. When you begin to think, there are no limits, there are no limits, there are no limits, all of a sudden the limitless begins to pull you up higher. When you think there are no limits, the limitless, which is the potential and the energy of the presence and power of God, the limitless begins to pull you higher. So we think everything is possible. There are no limits. It begins to move you into a higher vibration. Les Brown said this. Les Brown said, the limitations you have and the negative things you internalize are given to you by the world. The things that empower you, the possibilities, come from within. The world's thoughts, notions, concepts, beliefs, statements that you internalize will begin oftentimes to limit you. They present you with what? Limitations that you internalize. They disempower you. But when you begin to think of what is possible from within, everything is possible, all of a sudden you begin to expand in your consciousness. And if you really want to become unlimited, if you really want your potential to do and to be and to have to be unlimited, then you're going to have to learn how to dwell in the realm of possibility and in the realm of impossibility. And I say dwell in the realm of impossibility, because when we dwell in the realm of possibility, when the impossible thought comes, we think, oh, well, we can't leave. Start dwelling in the realm of impossibility. Shift your consciousness to be able to see what is possible, and to think what is possible here, to ask what is possible, and what is beyond what has appeared here. What is beyond what has happened here? We get stuck in what has happened. We get stuck in what has appeared. Train yourself to think, and what is beyond this? And what is beyond this? And what is beyond this? This is wonderful, but what is beyond this? That's how we grow. That's how we keep expanding. If we get comfortable in what is a perceived experience, a known happening, you get stuck there. It's lovely, enjoy it, but what is beyond this? That's what I'm looking for. And I think when Jesus, speaking as the Christ, said, ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and everyone that seeks finds, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. When he gave us that command, I believe that he was giving us the key to accessing the realm of infinite presence and infinite unlimited potential. How do you access? Ask it. Knock. See. See what's not seen. Ask beyond what has appeared great. What's beyond this? Ask those things that move you into the realm of greater or impossibility, or that which is beyond the known. Keep asking and seeking and knocking on this infinite realm of presence and possibility, because it's all here for us, and it is within us. And we are the only ones that can unleash it in our lives and in our affairs. We are the ones that can do that. We are the ones that are going to bring it forth as participators, as co-creators, as shape-shifters, as evolutionists. We are evolutionists. You know, we are evolving. Spiritually speaking, there's involution and there is evolution. And most of us know about evolution, and we don't really become aware of involution. And involution is simply this. It means that everything is already involved, in God, in divine mind. It's already created. There is nothing new that the divine is trying to create. Everything that is, it is the allness of the isness, right? It is the completeness. And this completeness is what? It's infinite. You've got to be able to hold the paradox. It is so involved. It's already done. There isn't anything that you could ask God for or do that is not already present. There's nothing. It's already involved in God. And what is involved in infinite presence and infinite potential, it is our job to evolve it. We evolve what is involved in God. Because when you have an E, whether you are expressing it, the pressing out, or whether it exists, the EX means to come forth from within to the without. So when we are in the midst of evolution, we are taking what is already involved and we are pressing it out and evolving it, expressing it outward into manifestation, into this world. And so evolution is a very powerful part. It is our part to press out what is already created. And, you know, sometimes we think, well, so-and-so discovered or created something. Somebody discovered electricity, and, you know, who was it? Who did we give that? Was it Benjamin Franklin? We gave him the, maybe Al Gore, we gave him the credit for the internet. But listen, they didn't invent those things. The internet was already involved in God's mind, in God's presence. We evolve it through the idea of it. Electricity already existed. Ben Franklin just found a way to what? Evolve it from what was involved, from what was already created. He didn't create electricity. He uncovered it. So there's so much potential in you and in your being for you to uncover, for you to discover, right? And you can't go into your being with a sense of limited. I can only do so much. Limitless. What is seeking to be uncovered in you, in your life, in your affairs? What is it that's beyond whatever it is that has appeared and already happened in your life and in and through and as you now? But what is beyond that? What is seeking to express itself, to come forth from what is involved in you, in God, in you. What is seeking that? What is seeking? Ask, seek, knock, making it available. Because if you want to evolve and grow and unfold all this thing, then you've got to begin to be practiced, to dwell in impossibility, to dwell in infinite potential, to dwell and to remember that everything is always possible. Asking yourself, what is possible here? What is possible here? Not what's already showed up, but what's possible here. Or you may say, what is impossible? Show me what is impossible. See, focus on that, and to rest in this dwelling in this consciousness of dwelling in impossibility or dwelling in possibility, whatever it is, but dwelling in it, resting in it, abiding in it, playing in it, filling yourself up with it. That's how you're going to start to expand your consciousness and open yourself up to the greater potential that is in you, that is you. And when you begin to do that, soon you will find yourself thinking higher thoughts. All of a sudden, you will find yourself moving into areas that you have never moved into before. It's creativity. So you had a creative moment. You decided to create something. See, that music, those notes, they already existed. You tapped into the realm of infinite potential, and your willingness to tap into it brought forth those notes in a particular order. Creation with a small c. Creation from what is already created. That song was already in the infinite. You tapped into it, right? Those notes, those beats that you feel moved to hit and press, it already is. But there's something when you become a vessel through which you're going to tap into it, then all of a sudden the music begins to play you. You ain't playing the music. The music is playing you, right? That's the process that we want to get to. Let the universe play. We want to play with it, but it begins when you start opening up and expanding yourself and beginning to then express what is involved in you and start pulling out all of those things. Ooh, this is when your life begins to change. Because what is in you is unlimited. What is in you is infinite presence and infinite potential and infinite power. And you have to be inspired to evolve that, to let that come out. And what we need to do is become practice in dwelling in this realm of possibility and in the realm of impossibility. So because we are a practical spiritual community, I'm going to invite you to get yourself a journal and call it your journal of possibilities, or you may want to call it your journal of impossibilities. You know, I like Alice in Wonderland when she says, well, I have imagined hundreds of impossible things even before breakfast. Right? Get that journal. And I want you to begin to start with whatever it is. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, a want, a need, something you want to be, something you want to do, something you want to acquire, that's fine. But start with, and pick one, pick something. And I want you to every day for a week, a month, or however long your spirit feels that you need to do this process. But I want you to begin to sit with that journal, and I want you to ask and write down after you ask, what is possible here? So if you have a dream, a desire, all right, name that. Now, what is possible here? What is the impossible? And what is possible? Write it down. Write it down, write it down. Now, there are no limits. All right? In this journal, you cannot post limits because this is journal of the limitless. And I'm sure that as you begin to write, what's possible, if you notice that you have somehow now slipped into the questioning of, well, how is it going to be possible? And I'm not sure that this is possible. Or, when do I think this is possible? See, what I did this morning when I went from the 10,000, all of a sudden I was into, well, wait a minute, that might be too much. When you start filtering the thoughts, when you start getting into the how and the what and the why, you're off. You have moved into the realm of limitation. You've limited yourself. You've limited the vision. You've limited the potential that is infinite. You put a self-imposed boundary. So begin to write and watch what thoughts are coming through, not for to say but just keep writing. What's possible? Keep asking, what is possible here? What is possible here? What else is possible? What else is possible? That's what I'm doing with this ministry right now. I need to figure out what's possible here. We have a beautiful, what else is possible? What else is possible here? Because there's something else that's waiting to give birth and to be expressed here. I just need to tune into it and tap the realm of possibility and impossibility to move beyond what has appeared into that which is limitless and which I will bring forth and we can all bring forth. So you practice that. Practice bringing. And as you begin to, what will help you in practicing writing into this limitless possibilities is to make sure that you also at the same time become practiced in dwelling in the infinite presence. Because infinite possibilities is contained where? In infinite presence. It is infinite presence that creates infinite possibilities. We want to go to the possibilities and the stuff before we have tapped the presence. So go to the source. Make sure that you also spend equal time dwelling in the infinite presence of the isness and the allness that is, in the presence of the divine, in the presence of the limitless field of God, of creation, of involution. Just rest in that. That has to be a part of this process, so that you begin to all of a sudden take in this light of God. You begin to meditate and you're visualizing and you're resting and even breathing and, all of a sudden inviting yourself into this presence, breathing it in, being in this limitless field of presence and being in the field often. Because the more you allow yourself to be in the field and to let the field move and take you, then the more your life will become magical, mystical, and magnificent. It's something so powerful that life begins to live you. See, you don't have to worry about how you're going to live your life. Life begins to live you. And it begins to move you into places you've never been before, doing things you've never done before, having thoughts you've never had before. They will come, you will sink it in, you'll have these wonderful downloads and connections. And you will become a divine manifestor, a divine manifester. And so not just filling yourself with things, but filling yourself with presence. The things are going to come. It's the presence that matters. Seek ye first what? The kingdom of God. And all the things are going to be added. Don't worry about the things. Get the presence. Because within infinite presence is all possibility. And once you tap that, this one begins to happen automatically. And all of a sudden you begin to express, because when you're tapping it, it has to press out. You have to evolve it. You have to move it into manifestation. And this is what bringing heaven upon earth is all about. Heaven is simply a higher consciousness. When you dwell in the presence, that heaven consciousness has to come to earth. It has to be expressed out. It has to get real. It has to get into this form. The formless becomes the form. The invisible becomes visible, so that then you partake in that process. So I say to you, beloved ones, whatever it is that you are being and doing and seeking and wanting, aim a little higher, because there's still more possibilities. Namaste and blessings.